5 Buddhist truths about getting old preface, not the end, just a quieter chapter. Let's be real, aging isn't exactly the sexiest topic around. You don't see influencers posting wrinkle hauls or TikToks about creaky knees and senior discounts. The way society talks about getting older, if it talks about it at all, is either drenched in pity or dipped in denial. It's either 60 is the new 40 or don't let aging win. Here's a collagen smoothie and 47 supplements. But here's the thing. What if aging isn't a battle to fight, but a truth to finally understand? What if getting older wasn't about losing relevance, but about shedding everything that never mattered? Buddhism, in its quietly radiant way, offers a kind of spiritual flashlight for this path we're all walking, toward graying hair, aching joints, and oddly loud sneezes. And instead of dreading the inevitable, it asks us to pay attention to it, to find clarity in the cracks, wisdom in the wear, even, dare I say it, joy in the letting go. This isn't a self-help listicle or an Instagram carousel of anti-aging hacks. This is a slow conversation, a companionable walk through 5 Buddhist truths that might just change how you feel about getting older, not by sugarcoating it, but by showing you how much light there really is in this so-called twilight. So pour yourself a cup of something warm. Get comfortable. Let's talk. Truth number 1. Impermanence isn't sad, it's sacred. We'll start here with the one truth that Buddhist teachings never shy away from. Everything changes: your body, your job, your roles, the people you love, the world around you. Now, let's be honest. Impermanence can sound like a depressing motivational poster. Nothing lasts forever. Thanks, we know. Our backs reminded us this morning, but hang on. The teaching of impermanence, anicca in Pali, isn't a gloomy eulogy for youth. It's an invitation to fully show up for what's here, while it's here. And if you really lean into that, it turns aging from a slow decline into a kind of quiet awakening. Think of it like this. When you know something won't last, you stop wasting time pretending it will. You stop obsessing over fixing your body like it's broken, and you start listening to it instead. You stop hoarding experiences like souvenirs and start savoring them like sips of tea. You stop performing youth and start living your truth. Aging isn't a glitch, it's the design. And when you stop fighting that, you start to feel oddly free. You're not stuck in the past. You're not chasing the future. You're just here, wrinkled, wiser, and strangely okay. Let me tell you a story. A monk, a flower, and a fading morning. There's a story in Zen that goes like this. A monk sees a flower blooming on the edge of a cliff. He leans over to admire it, risking a fall, but smiles anyway. Why? Because the beauty of the flower isn't in its longevity, it's in its presence. Same goes for us. You don't have to bloom forever to be beautiful. You just have to bloom while you can. So maybe your hands shake now. Maybe you forget names more often, but you also see more, feel more. You cry at bird songs and laugh at your own absurdity. You have depth that doesn't come from books or apps or hacks. It comes from being alive long enough to know what really matters. And that, my friend, is not sad. It's sacred. Truth number 2, attachment is heaviest when we're holding on to youth. You ever notice how much we cling? We cling to our old roles, the strong one, the provider, the fixer. We cling to identities. I used to be a leader. I was the mom who held it all together. I was the one everyone counted on. And let's not forget the mirror. The mirror doesn't lie, but it sure can punch you in the gut some mornings. Here's the thing though, Buddhism doesn't say don't love anything. It just says don't confuse loving with owning. And when it comes to aging, we get those wires crossed. We think letting go of youth means letting go of joy, of meaning, of sexiness, relevance, usefulness. But it doesn't. What if your real power didn't live in who you were, but in who you still are? You can't steer with both hands, clutching the rear view. You ever try to drive while staring in the rearview mirror the whole time? No, of course not. You'd crash. But emotionally, that's what a lot of us do when we get older. We drive life looking backward, gripping the glory days, cursing the present for not measuring up. You want a brutal little Buddhist truth? Here it is. The tighter you cling, the more you suffer. It's not age that hurts. It's resistance. You're not losing something, you're shedding. Not being erased, just being revealed. Let go of the image. Let go of the script. Let go of the old costume you wore for decades and step into what's really here. You might be surprised who you still are. Truth number 3. Stillness isn't emptiness, it's clarity. One thing age gives you that no app can offer, no course can teach? Stillness. But stillness doesn't mean stagnation. It's not boredom or invisibility or irrelevance. It's space, spaciousness. That's something the younger version of you probably never had enough of, right? Space to breathe, to think, to feel your feelings without needing to fix them. To just sit quietly and know this is enough. Buddhist meditation isn't about tuning out. It's about tuning in. And when you're older, you finally have the permission, maybe even the craving, to sit, notice, be. Silence doesn't mean nothing's happening. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in? Of course you have. Everyone has. But here's the twist. Sometimes what feels like forgetfulness is actually just your mind quieting down after decades of noise. Think about it. After years of juggling responsibilities, family, work, and social expectations, your brain finally gets a chance to sit on the couch in sweatpants and breathe. Stillness isn't failure, it's wisdom catching its breath. And in that silence, something beautiful happens. The mind gets clearer, the heart softens, old regrets become stories instead of wounds. You begin to see what really matters, and you stop chasing what doesn't. That's not nothing, that's everything. Truth number 4, death isn't the end of the story. Let's talk about the thing most people avoid, like the dentist. Or worse, group texts. Death, the great curtain call, the last unknown, the elephant in every room we age in. Now, before you scroll past or mentally change the subject, hang with me for a second. In Buddhism, death isn't feared. It's studied, reflected on, sometimes even meditated upon, not in a creepy, morbid way, but in a deeply respectful, deeply human way. Because when you stop being afraid of death, you start really living. The parable of the mustard seed. Let me tell you a story that Buddhist monks have passed down for generations. A young woman named Kisa Gotami lost her only child. Overcome with grief, she carried her lifeless son from house to house, begging someone, anyone, to bring him back. Eventually, she found the Buddha. He told her, "I can help you, but first bring me a mustard seed from a home where no one has ever lost a loved one." So she went out, knocking on doors again. But every home had known death, a mother, a brother, a husband, a child. And slowly, gently, the truth dawned on her. Grief is not a punishment. It's part of being alive. She returned to the Buddha empty-handed, but no longer alone in her sorrow. We're all just passing through. There's something quietly comforting about that story, isn't there? We all come and go. The pain of losing someone isn't personal, it's universal. And when you begin to accept that, death doesn't become your enemy, it becomes your teacher. You start to live with more softness. You forgive faster. You say, "I love you," without waiting for a special occasion. You stop postponing joy because you finally see how fragile and how beautiful life really is. The Buddhists call this maranasati, mindfulness of death. And no, it's not about being gloomy, it's about being awake. So many people spend their younger years acting like they'll live forever. They don't think about their legacy or the conversations they leave unfinished or the stories they'll be remembered by. But aging invites you to start answering those questions. Gently, honestly, with eyes wide open. And once you stop fearing death, a funny thing happens. You stop fearing life too. Truth number 5. You are not who you think you are, and that's good news. You've probably heard this one before. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts. You are not your job or your name or your resume. Sounds good on paper, right? But when you're staring down the barrel of aging, losing physical ability, stepping out of career roles, watching people look past you like you've turned invisible, it gets harder to believe. We've been trained to build our identity out of what we do, what we own, how we look, but Buddhism flips that on its head. It tells us that our identity is a story, not a lie, not meaningless, just temporary, just a story. And you're the awareness behind the story. Who are you without your labels? Think about it. If you're not the mom with a packed schedule anymore, who are you? If you're not the CEO who gets results, or the guy who fixes everything, or the woman who never slows down, what's left? At first, it might feel like you're losing yourself, but actually, you're coming home to yourself. There's a word in Buddhism, anatta, or no fixed. It doesn't mean you don't matter. It means you're not stuck, not frozen in one identity. You're fluid, changing, like water. You're not the reflection in the mirror. You're the presence looking into it. And aging is what finally gives you the chance to stop performing and start being. The wisdom that sneaks up on you. Here's something no one tells you about getting older. You become the person your younger self needed, not in some dramatic Hollywood movie way, but in tiny, quiet ways. You don't react as quickly. You don't chase every argument. You stop needing to win. You listen more. You start seeing people more clearly, not as characters in your story, but as fellow travelers, each with their own pain, their own hopes, their own wrinkles. And the weirdest part, you don't miss the old you, because you finally see that your worth was never in how fast you moved, how much you earned, or how much attention you got. It was in your presence, your heart, your wisdom, your ability to sit in silence with someone and make them feel seen. That's not less than, that's more. Closing, the quiet miracle of growing older. Let's be honest, aging is not always poetic. Your knees complain, your memory plays tricks. Sometimes you walk into a room and stand there like a confused ghost, and yet you laugh deeper, you cry easier, you love more freely. You say no with less guilt and yes with more joy. You care less about what people think and more about what feels right. You don't need to be everything to everyone anymore. You just need to be real. The world may not always celebrate aging, but Buddhism, it does. It sees it for what it truly is. Not a decline, but a return. A return to truth, to simplicity, to presence, to being. Final thoughts. A little light for the road ahead, so if you're feeling the weight of age, whether it's in your joints or in your spirit, remember this: you're not disappearing, you're becoming clearer. And if some parts of you are fading, it's only so the most important parts can shine. Impermanence, it's your reminder to pay attention. Letting go of youth, it frees you to be real. Stillness, it gives you clarity. Death, it softens your heart. Identity, it's just a story, and you're allowed to rewrite it. So walk slowly, laugh loudly, cry when you need to, speak gently, live fully, because getting older isn't the end. It's just the next part of the story, and you're still here, pen in hand.